Spring season comes to an epic conclusion as we crown a champion. 8 of the top Hearthstone players have gathered to dust off their best decks and duel until only one player remains. The winner earns a spot at the Hearthstone World Championship, a $25,000 first place prize, and of course, bragging rights. Whose preparation, passion, and belief in the heart of the cards will lead them to victory? Pull up a chair and find out as the 2016 Hearthstone Europe Spring Championship begins.
And welcome to Day 2 of the Hearthstone Championship Tour Europe Spring Championship. I'm Robert Wing, joined at the desk by Fronan and Sottle. Yesterday, 8 players began battling for the title of Europe Spring Champion. Only 4 remain today, and one of them will be booking their passage to the Hearthstone World Championship later at BlizzCon. Guys, Day 1 was very exciting. We saw some upsets, some results we probably could have expected, but if you had to describe the day in one phrase, Sottle, how would you describe it?
That's a tough one. I think I'm going to have to give a shout out to my boy George C on this one and go with Coin Totem Golem as my phrase of the day.
Coin Totem Golem. Yeah. Good one. Frodan, what about yourself?
I kind of have to refute that. I don't think Shaman's been terribly impressive. I think the surprise deck of the tournament has actually been Hunter, so my phrase would be Greetings Traveler, because I feel like Hunter has not been getting enough love. I think people were really anticipating Call of the Wild to be an extremely powerful card. You, of all people, should know that too, being a Hunter specialist. So I'm definitely going with that with my buddy Rexar.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it any better myself. You took the words literally right out of my mouth. So very excited to see Hunter doing well again. I know it kind of Rexar disappear from the tavern, but he's back. As long as we have 5 decks, Rexar will always have a place. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket, though. Figure out exactly just what happened on day 1. We saw Thijs take on Turna, or Thijs emerged victorious. George C and Loyan had a rematch from the Europe Spring Preliminary, and Loyan was able to repeat results. AKA Wonder took on Casey, and Casey was able to put that technical play to the test and beat AKA Wonder. We ended the day with Crane taking on Inner, and Inner just barely managed to squeeze out that last win, but he did get it, so very exciting day. Any matches that really stood out to you guys?
Well, I think you have to look at the last one immediately because that one was the most dramatic. We have best of 7 for the first time in any championship that we've had thus far. And I think the results have been all over the board, which is pretty cool to see. You have some series which, even though it was 4-2, it wasn't really that close. Right. And then you also had series that were 4-2, which were actually surprisingly close. And then you had the nail-biter roller coaster finish with Inner versus Crane. And that one was the most exciting series of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the lower half of the bracket in general is where a lot of the big action came from. The match between Casey and AKA Wonder as well was very exciting. We all wanted to see how those Cthulhu decks were going to work out for AKA. Not too well in the end, but still, those were where the minor upsets came. But still, Casey and Inner, two very, very strong players, in a great spot to be able to take this whole thing down.
Yeah, I agree. There were some great matches all over the place. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Day 2 schedule, though, and see where we're going. We'll kick things off with Thijs taking off Loyan in our first semifinal, and then head to Casey versus Inner. The winners of those matches, will emerge and go to the grand finals later on, and we will have our Europe Spring Champion by the end of the day. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. Let's go ahead and preview that first semifinal, though, which, as we said, is going to be Thijs taking on Loyan. Thijs playing for G2, Loyan playing for Complexity Gaming. Dan, is there anything that's really stood out to you thus far about Loyan's play?
Well, I feel like Loyan comes in as more of a person that is putting on, the face that he's just kind of carefree and relaxed and having fun. He's more jovial. But, I got to chat with him just moments before the broadcast, and he was still even reflective on how he didn't exactly put his best foot forward yesterday. He feels like he made a couple of mistakes that's uncharacteristic of him, and today he wants to make no mistakes whatsoever. So even though it's all fun and games up until this point, it's the final day of play, so I think it's all business from this point on. I think Loyan's determined, ready to go. Agreed.
And Sottle, does Thijs live up to expectations, you think, thus far in this tournament?
He always does, right? Thijs never really lets you down. You kind of know where your baseline is with Thijs. He's one of the most accomplished players, technical players in Hearthstone. You know he's going to be solid. He's going to set the benchmark as the man to beat. That's the job that Loyan now has ahead of him, but he's going to have a bit of an uphill struggle because I like the way that Thijs's lineup matches up against Loyan. He has a lot of those mid-rangey, punishing decks for Loyan's control lineup.
I was mildly disappointed that he did not break out in a Rick Astley song just now. But I got to agree. I think Thijs comes in as one of the players that people look to just because in the midst of all the chaos in a card game, I think Thijs is one of those players that people look at to just show, I need some consistency in it, and he is the mark of consistency.
Right. Well, his opponent today, as we've said, is going to have, fairly difficult battle, but Loyan claims he's up to it. We actually talked at length yesterday after day one, and Loyan went through deck by deck and explained to me why he felt like he was going to emerge victorious. Feels that his control warrior gives him the leg up against Thijs, will force some unusual play from the player who, has been cited as not necessarily super creative. But taking a look at how Loyan got here, finished first on the April ladder, comes in with 17 Hearthstone Championship Tour points, and never dropped a match in the Europe Spring Preliminaries, so very impressive to this point.
Yeah, pretty much just farmed George C. all the way to the semifinals, where he's able to beat him not only in the preliminaries, but also in the championship as well. Taking out some other pretty well-known players, too. Unid and Deathlord, those are two players that might strike some resonance in players who have also competed a lot. And I do think it's really cool to see that Loyan's also the only remaining player that has a Paladin in his lineup, which has always been, a more interesting class choice. I think it hasn't performed well for the other players in the competition, but that's what makes it really cool. Everyone has a slight different twist on what they think is good and competitive in the tournament.
Yeah, I think the story that he's reinforcing for all of these players that it's been such a long journey just to get to this point. We saw how he got through the preliminary, but even before that, you're grinding out for ladder finishes and open cup finishes. Now you're so close. You're 2 games away from booking that spot at BlizzCon, but it's all on the line. You need to put your best foot forward right now and make sure you don't put all that hard work to waste.
Yeah, a lot like American Representative Bob Nostam. He's kind of billed himself as kind of a more carefree, kind of wacky guy, but he's going to have to go ahead and put on a more serious face because he has to get through the 2015 Europe champion. Of course, I'm talking about Tyson. Thijs had his own difficult road to get to this point, had to play a number of very skilled opponents, but, much to the surprise of basically no one, Thijs comes in here as the favorite, high ladder finishes, well-known tournament player, just very recently, popular streamer, so comes in here, also made it purely through the winner's bracket at the Europe Spring Preliminary. I mean, what else can you say about Thijs?
No, he's kind of doing it all these days. Like you said, he's recently picked up streaming as a personal activity that he's able to do. He's still competing in a lot of tournaments. He's also putting out lots of content out there, and he's even starting his own memes, as I know the Thijs subs are there in full force in chat. So, I mean, he's pretty much doing it all. He's the five-finger threat in Hearthstone, and I think that's why people really want to see him go far. People really look at Thijs as one of those icons that they really want to support because, he also had that start from being in the position of Loyan and being in the position of Casey. It was just a couple of years ago he was in that similar position. Right. So I think in a lot of ways people really appreciate that about him.
Absolutely. And let's go ahead and take a look at our second semifinal of the day. That's going to be Casey taking on Inner. 2 players who entered this championship, certainly less known than some of the other players, but they have very much made name for themselves on day one with kind of different styles that are, it seems weird to say, but also kind of similar. They advertise themselves as very technical players who don't necessarily, buy into the hype of, oh, here's all these weird unconventional decks you can play. They just bring what they think are the most powerful. And, Casey, there's a slight twist on that. He also brings what he thinks is the most fun deck.
Yeah, I mean, he says he has the most fun playing control and combo decks, and he says he plays his best Hearthstone when he's having the most fun, so he just tends to go with these decks that he's most familiar with, that he enjoys the most. But I think Casey is really interestingly positioned in this tournament because I mentioned this yesterday, but when we talk about him, we talk about it in the same way as we were talking about Ostkaka a while ago. Some of these players that, we know are underground and are practicing with some of the best players, building decks for some of the best players, giving advice to them to be at the forefront. And now Casey has the opportunity to step out of the shadows and actually get himself in a position of prominence himself.
Yeah, I think Sato was primarily referencing is the fact that Casey is often in the background helping players to be successful, while himself not actually being any known at all. You can make comparisons to Just Sane or Amnesiac, two players who are also having breakup performances, who are doing the same exact thing, helping other players build decks, helping them test matchups. And he's also, just like Amnesiac is saying, also a rogue loyalist, for better or for worse. Don't exactly blame him, because I think the class is personally really fun. And just look at his road to even getting to the championship. He had to play through so many more people because he lost his show in round number 2. And his difficulty, the amount of names he's taken in that list is staggering, Rob.
Yeah, no, he enters, as you guys said, kind of the eternal understudy thus far in his own career, but looking to drop the moniker of Luigi, looking to become the Mario. So with a win,
I understood that reference.
Could certainly do. You know, I try to get these references that work across regions, but
it would have worked better for Turner, I think, because he is Italian. But
yeah, that's a really good point.
What you're talking about.
Right, but he is looking. Sorry. Yeah, he is looking to come in here and win the championship, go to the Hearthstone World Championship, and continue to prove that he is, like so many of those other players who before him, step out of the shadow, kind of become their own man in the scene. We'll have to get through Inner first, and Inner is someone who has come in here representing the Russian region, the first player we've actually had from Russia to make it to the championship level. He's been very critical of his own play thus far.
Yeah, I think Inner is surprisingly emotional for a player from the Eastern European region. I think you look at players like Colento and Nyria and all those other players, they're kind of like ice in their veins, so to speak. No pun intended, as Inner is the last remaining Freeze Mage player remaining in the top 4, too. So I'm really looking forward to see if he can not only continue to perfect his play, but also see how emotionally stable he can be going into it. You can see that he got a little ahead of himself yesterday. A few plays almost cost him potentially the game, and I don't want that to be the case today.
Yeah, I mean, he took out some great names on his way to qualify here. He also has a top 10 ladder finish in the spring season, so he's obviously a very accomplished player, but I think even self-confessed in his interview he was a bit overawed by the entire production that we have here, wasn't quite prepared for it. So he's now going to have to tighten up, because I've heard very good things about him as a player if he can put his, really get his optimal plays out there. So if he can just look inside, find that inner fire, and actually just really get out there, yeah, pun intended. That's
I was going to say, inner fire is not just a free spell.
It's true. I mean, the only thing that we have more than casters here is lights, and it's true. There's a lot of lights and cameras coming at you and shining in your face. And today you're playing for a spot in the World Championship. You're playing for tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, there's a lot of things on the line here. But I think these guys are starting to get really comfortable. I mean, Inner, when he first came here on day number 1, wasn't really talking much, wasn't really sharing much about himself, but he seems to be a little bit more smiles and more comfortable, helping other players, like engage in conversations, playing some Hearthstone even with me, the casual scrub. So I think he's going to be in a good spot today, and I think he's going to surprise some people.
Dan, you think playing with you makes him better or worse at the game for today?
I highly suggested that he stopped, associating with me, because we were getting some ridiculous stuff all the time. Rolling forbidden shapings and just getting like the worst possible outcomes. But that's part of the fun. I guess I took all the bad rolls with me, and he can all have the good ones.
Wow. I'm sure that's what he's hoping. So yesterday, the casters went ahead and picked their predictions for who was going to advance out of this top 8. And
how'd that go, Rob?
I have a long-standing tradition, it seems like, with the Blackboard thus far of choosing not the winner, but I always feel good about my picks. Still feel good about AK Wonder. Saddle, you picked your boy Crane.
I did.
You cursed him, as I understand it.
I did.
That was rude of you. Now, Brian picked Tice, so Brian has actually been redeemed from the caster desk here. Doesn't have to do the pre-show.
No correct casters are allowed on this sidebar.
All right, so let's go ahead and really quickly here get our predictions for day 2. Saddle, who do you have advancing?
Okay, I have gone for Tice this time. As I mentioned, I really like the way his lineup matches up in the semi-final, which puts him in a great spot right off the bat. On top of that, I've actually been officially banned by Complexity Management of picking any more Complexity players in case I curse Loyan out of the tournament as well. So
that's for the best.
Yeah. All right, Dan, who do you have?
Well, I went for the very hipster and edgy pick. Don't cut yourself, Rob. I also picked Tice.
What?
Listen, man, Tice is a dear friend of mine. I stayed at his home in Enskede for a couple weeks, where I introduced to him Patron Warrior prior to everyone else catching on to him. Our roots go really deep, and that's, again, pun intended, as he is known for playing Druid. Tice is a homie. I can't back down from this pick. Plus, I really love having people have consistent streak of results, and it would be awesome because we've never had a 2-time regional champion. So to have another repeat performance as the Europe champion for Tice in the spring season would be nothing short of amazing for me.
I respect both of your choices. I think they're very solid. I actually did take the edgy hipster pick, though. I was like, you know what, I think
No way.
Casey, been very impressed by this upstart German player. Feels like the tournament is his to win. I like his matchup against Sinner. Curious to see what he can do. That is going to go ahead and do it for us, though. So we're going to go ahead and let you guys have a little bit better of an opportunity to get to know Thijs and Loyan before they get into their match.
I'm really happy that I could take the first series. It went my way a bit. I was really happy that the warrior was early out. It was a bit of a tricky deck against him, and yeah, afterwards I felt really comfortable with all the decks I had left. I felt that I was prepared kind of for everything. It for sure brings some confidence now. You have to first win in. Your strategy is working, at least it did.
And Thijs is going to go ahead and wrap up this first best of 7 on the day. He will be advancing to the semifinals.
I don't know my opponent yet. It's going to be either George or Loyan.
I'm feeling pretty good. I knew he gets one terrible deck, which is his warrior. So yeah, it happened that I guess won 3 games against his Murloc and 1 against warrior. Pretty much how I planned.
There, that's not going to cut it. And Loyan is the winner. He will advance to the semifinals where he will take on Thijs.
So I know like Thijs is a really experienced player. He's one of the best players in the world. I feel that I'm also good. I know his lineup, I know mine. It looks pretty good for me.
It's so strange if you don't know your opponent yet. To be honest, I always take step for step, so I don't know exactly what they're playing. I think they are both really good players. What I'm gonna do now is watch my 2 possible opponents playing and yeah, make my strategy ready.
I got nothing to lose. It's him who has to prove over and over again that he's one of the best players in the world. All people expect him to win. If he loses, people will like talk about him losing, not me winning. This is how it works.
Yeah, 2 to go.
If I happen to win, I will get my dog to hairdresser even faster.
Hello, everybody. I'm standing over here at the player area where throughout the day today, we'll be seeing the players battle it out. And at the end of it all, we'll have a Europe Spring champion. Without further ado, let's introduce our first semifinalists of the day. I have Loyan representing Poland and, of course, Thijs representing the Netherlands. Loyan, I want to get a quick words with both of you guys before we jump into that match. How confident are you feeling going into today? You had a great match yesterday, but now you have to go up against Thijs. How are you feeling?
Honestly, it doesn't matter. It's Thijs. I know my lineup really well, and he doesn't have that huge of an edge with his one. So, yeah, we'll see. Pretty happy to play.
All right, well, Thijs, you're going up against Loyan. You had a good match yesterday as well. Did you change your preparation at all? And are you feeling confident coming into today?
Changed my preparation, of course. Now I take step by step, and now I prepared for the lineup from Loyan. And yeah, I feel comfortable with my lineup, and I'm going to show my best.
All right, well, I hope so. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to jump right in the match. Guys, shake hands. Best of luck to you both. Take your seats. And we're going to jump right into the semifinal match. So we'll send it over to Rob and Savitz to get into the action.
Thank you, TJ. Savitz, I had such a good time casting with you yesterday. I was like, let's do it again.
Yeah, and what a better match to cast than this one that we have at hand. Thijs going up against Loyan. A lot has been said about Thijs, but Loyan, he's not exactly like a new player to the scene. I personally, I've known him for quite a while, over a year ago, and I was preparing for one of the tournaments when I used to compete a little bit more myself. And I was asking him for help with a shaman deck, and he helped me out. The way I discovered about the guy was that I just randomly bumped into his stream on his channel, and he just happened to be rank 1 legend that moment. He's like just chilling and like, yeah, that's right, rank 1. And he's done it multiple times. He's a shaman player, but he can also play the other classes.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to him actually yesterday after day 1, and he feels incredibly confident, and you know he gives off kind of this playful demeanor of maybe being a little bit less invested than other players, but you know he really does want to win and absolutely believes he can do it, believes he can take out Thijs, understands that he's 2 wins away from going to the Hearthstone World Championship. So as much as he might downplay it just a little bit, he's very invested in winning and beating Thijs here.
Yeah, there we saw the bans, and Loyan will unfortunately not have his shaman available, but like I mentioned, he certainly can play all the classes, and even though he comes off like a little bit as a funny guy on his like interviews and everything, he's all business when it comes down to playing. And here we go to the first match. It's going to be Thijs playing the shaman, and Loyan will be on his hunter.
Right, so we see there Thijs has Tuskar, Totemic, and Totem Golem in the opening hand. Rockbiter weapon as well, which can be very useful in dealing with something like a King's Relic that comes out. Curious to see what he'll end up keeping. This matchup has obviously gone through a lot of changes with the evolution of Hearthstone. There was a point back in the day with the old Unleash the Hounds where Shaman just lost, but in 2016, with standard format and Whispers of the Old Gods of Eats, who do you think has the edge in this matchup?
I like the Shaman a tiny bit more, just because of how sticky the board is and how little there is with board clearing in the Hunter lists nowadays. That starting hand from Thijs, by the way, even though you see 1, 2, 3, it's not that great because of the overload and the lack of coins. So he's just gonna try to find a one drop to play out on the M1. He gets one.
I was going to say, he does find that one drop. Now, yesterday, Sir Finley Mergleton was taking people on adventures they didn't want to go on. He was giving a lot of defensive-oriented hero powers. Obviously, what Thijs will be looking for, I would imagine, is something a little bit more aggressive here. Although, against the Hunter, is there any merit to maybe taking a slower hero power?
I guess there could be, but I think the Shaman is still the aggressor here, because once those Call of the Wilds, Savannah High Main start happening, Thijs doesn't run any hexes. So High Main, for example, it's something that he can't really deal with. So Thijs is definitely the aggressor in this matchup overall. So aggressive hero power would complement that playstyle a little bit better.
Right, he does have those options. We see Steady Shot, Reinforce, and Fire Blast, and ends up taking Fire Blast. And I was going to talk about, I think I like that better than Steady Shot. It gives you more options for finishing, clearing up the board. You just have more flexibility overall. So while Steady Shot is my favorite hero power, I think in this situation it makes more sense.
Yeah, it's very important to be able to fight for the board early on the early turns, and Thijs figures out that he has enough damage anyway, so with this he might be able to just control the board and go from there. Loyan there plays his King Select and does win the joust and picks up another Houndmaster. That's certainly something that might be very valuable later on, although he can only play one at a time, obviously.
Yeah, it gives Thijs some information. Thijs obviously did not know that Loyan already had a Houndmaster, but he's aware now that Loyan has at least one Houndmaster, so he's going to want to make sure that he's aware of that if he's unable to clear beasts off the board. Beasts like King Zealot now has the option to just go ahead and trade in Sir Finley Mergleton and use the hero power, but that feels so much weaker than just dropping the Totem Golem.
It's pretty bad turn for Thijs. I would expect to see the hero power here just because of the overload, because if he plays the Totem Golem right now, the overload is going to mess up his turn 3 and he would not have any play at all. So just to kind of avoid the overload, I think he's going to go with the hero power.
Right, and this is, goes for that Totem Golem, so
he's probably planning to just use the hero power or hoping to get another 2-mana card from the top of his deck.
Right, so Totem Golem is a difficult minion for Hunter to deal with. Things like Quick Shot are not super satisfying against it, obviously, as the Totem Golem has 4 health, Quick Shot does 3 damage. Loyan's going to have to figure out how he wants to approach his board state. Obviously, would be able to get a favorable trade into Sir Finley Mergleton.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to do and just drop the Knife Juggler. Now, if the Knife Juggler hits the Totem Golem, that does not. I was going to say, that could have been a game changer.
Yeah, it certainly was a big moment there. It would have helped a lot with dealing with the Totem Golem later on. Here, it seems pretty straightforward, the hero power on that 3-1. So the Totem Golem, in the end, it worked out pretty well here. He got a good hero power. If there was if Loyan went for it with his Flame Juggler, just took the 1 in 3, trying to hit the Totem Golem, and then the trade happened with the King Select, then it would have been a little bit clunkier.
Right, we do see that overload coming in, so he can't play the Feral Spirits, and that's one of the early balancing acts when you're playing as that Shaman deck, is how you want to proceed, whether you value the Totem Golem more. Eaglehorn Bow, though, snap played by Loyan, no thought given to it, really.
Infested Wolf from the top of his deck. That's an excellent draw. That's probably the best card Loyan could have hoped, because those Houndmasters don't work very well when you don't have a beast on the board, obviously. It's almost like playing just a half of a card when you go for the Houndmaster. He certainly would have done it if he had to, just playing it for a 4-mana forgery, but the Infested Wolf is so much better. Extremely sticky, providing you more beasts from the Death Rattle, so the turn 5 Houndmaster is almost guaranteed to have a target for the buff.
Yeah, and we talked about the fact that, Thijs knows that Loyan has the Houndmaster in hand, so when the Infested Wolves come down, Thijs is really going to figure out how hard he wants to go at the idea of getting rid of the Infested Wolf and the Spiders, assuming he even can.
But it's so difficult. How do you clear those 1/1s afterwards?
You took the hero power, but that's 1.
2 mana just to deal with one of those 1/1s. So it's certainly going to be a difficult task. Here, Thijs has 2 different plays. He could go with the Argent Horse Rider or the Feral Spirits. Looks like he's leaning towards the Horse Rider, maybe because of the bow, because the bow deals with the Feral Spirit. No, he is going to drop the Ferals.
And this is going to put Loyan in a really good spot with the Infested Wolves. Take out one of the Spirit Wolves and leave him with a good threat on the board. That does leave other threats behind.
Yep, it's a pretty close goal, I think, between the Horse Rider and and the taunts, but this might work out better because he's not planning to rush out the Doom Hammer. There's still a lot of work to do. His opponent is at 24 HP, so getting those minions on the board first, that might work out better in the long run.
Yeah, Infested Wolves is one of those cards I really expected to see a lot more of when it was released, but as we're continuing to see Hunter lists refined, it's one of those things where it's starting to appear as like a one-off in decks as opposed to a two-off. Why do you think that is?
Infested Wolf?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it a lot. It's so hard to remove. And by the way, here we see that that Mage Hero power really coming useful for Thijs. If he chose the steady shot earlier on, he would not have been able to clear the board here as easily. He would have had to like spend the Rock Biter or so, and the Houndmaster would have been a problem because of the 1/1. So really thinking forward there. Great play by Thijs, going for the Mage Hero power instead of the steady shot early on.
Yeah, that Eagle Horn bow, the second one off the top for Loyan, very good pickup, allows him to play a minion, get rid of the other Spirit Wolf, and Thijs overloaded for one, but could equip the Doom Hammer, or could just play down that Faceless, and looks like Doom Hammer is going to be the play, get rid of that Alec, and start asserting damage.
He wants to start dealing damage right now. He has a Rock Biter in his hand, so if he was to pick up a second one from the top of his deck, that would actually be lethal straight away from 20 HP, being able to deal 16 with the double Rock Biter weapon, and the Rock Biter weapon, Doom Hammer, and the Lava Burst. But there's a taunt.
Yeah, I was going to say the Firebat. Loyan's actually having some really fortunate draws from the top of his deck there. He's managed to find that Beast to make the Houndmaster play a lot better, and Thijs can clear it with the Rock Biter or the Lava Burst potentially, but it's one of those things where he's taking a lot of damage doing it, and you know, at that point he's not actually damaging Loyan, which feels really good for the Hunter player. And want to point out, Call of the Wild is there.
It is,
Loyan was missing his high main, but if he gets to 8, he's in a really good spot. Thijs' deck is not running Lightning Storm at all, so how do you clear that?
It's pretty rough, but I think the key thing here is that he's only going to be at 7 mana next turn, so it will not be coming out just yet, and that might give Thijs enough time to be able to end the game before he runs into a lot of trouble with that Call of the Wild.
Right, we see the Argent Horse Rider come out. He chooses not to deal with the Houndmaster. Don't blame him. It's not a beast, so there's limits on what it can do. It's essentially just a 4/3. But oh my goodness, Loyan's deck.
I believe Thijs has lethal here, though. With that Rock Biter weapon, the weapon is going to be able to deal 10 damage, Lava Burst 5,
and the
Hero Power for the remaining point of damage. So looks like Thijs might be taking game 1.
Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. Unless we're missing something. It looks exactly... Let's see. He's not overloaded. That was important. It was not overloading his mana.
No overload at all.
Yeah.
This is kind of how I feel about the matchup. Exactly how it goes. The Shaman, just even as powerful as Call of the Wild is and as impossible it is to deal with, sometimes the games just end too quickly and you never get to cast it. It didn't do anything in this game. And Thijs with an aggressive hand and some really good plays, being able to finish this one off.
Yeah, and Thijs sees it immediately, gives a little bit of a nod. Going to go ahead and clean up game 1, and this is the explosive power of Shaman and why, you know, when we were discussing bans in the past for this format, Shaman is always a worthwhile ban just because, look at that, 16 damage in 1 turn with the Doom Hammer, Rock Biter, Lava Burst, Fire Blast, and it's going to go ahead and do it.
Doom Hammer, such a brutal card. It can deal amazing amounts of damage if you get the time to swing with it over multiple turns.
Yeah, so that is going to lock up Thijs' Shaman deck. We'll not be able to use it. Reminder, if you didn't tune in yesterday, this is best of 7, single elimination all throughout the tournament. So Thijs is going to have to win 4 games to get past Loyan on the board thus far. But Loyan down, not out. Obviously, when you make things best of 7, there's so much series to play that when you lose 1, it doesn't necessarily feel as bad as it would say in like best of 5.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think that one was like a big win for Thijs. It's obviously great to get a 1-0 start, but the Shaman deck was pretty well rounded against many of Loyan's decks, so I think it would have been getting its win later on anyway.
Right, so Loyan, a very enigmatic individual, very entertaining. I've had a lot of fun hanging out with him. If you didn't necessarily get a chance to see just what Loyan is about, here's a short piece talking about the interesting character that is Loyan.
No. I really want to say like, hi, I'm Loyan, looks like my dog. My friends don't even know like who takes out who outside. I was pretty bored at school. I was this kid which was doing like bad stuff in the school, and I pretty much loved games. So I found out that there is something like streaming. In 2013, I was pretty much learning how to speak English. I wasn't good at it, so obviously I didn't have that many people on my stream. I was really awkward. I wasn't talking that much. I was just looking into the camera. When I was a small guy, I didn't have much things to do in my house. I was just drawing. If Hearthstone will not work out for me, I will definitely be the best painter you've ever seen.
All right. Loyan likes to put on this facade that he's all about having fun and he's not really serious. But when it comes down to business, this guy is seriously good at the game.
He hit rank 1 in April, and he'll tell you that he's not here to win, but I would not underestimate him.
I want to tell you that there is one magical place on the Twitch. Whenever you go there, you feel like a little turtle coming out from the shell. You go straight into the sea. You go into the sea, you look on the left, look on the right, no sharks, you feel really happy. You look straight and what you see? Thousands of little turtles, little happy turtles. And the thing you say to yourself is, what a good day to be alive. Obviously I'm talking about twitch.tv/Loyan, great place to be. We did it. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much.
You know, Sabeats, some call it cringe. I call it the best cringe. He's been one of the more entertaining individuals to get to know. Very excited to be in North America. He was actually just sampling various chocolates yesterday, and you know, when we asked him why, he said, "Oh, because you know, who knows when I'll be here next and have the opportunity to do this." So
yeah, what an awesome dude! It's just really fun to hang around with him as well, and I'm kind of happy that he made it this far, made it through the qualifiers and made it to the semifinals. And that might not be all of it. If he manages to take Thijs down here, he could go all the way to BlizzCon.
Well, he's got 4 games to go if he's looking to do that. Obviously, down 1 against Thijs. He's going to go ahead and queue into Hunter once again, and Thijs is going to bring out his Tempo Warrior. This is a matchup that traditionally favors the Hunter.
Yes,
but if the curve is good for the Tempo Warrior, it can be problematic.
So the mind games are going a little bit Loyan's way here. He definitely got the one that he wanted. He wanted to play against Warrior, and Thijs may be thinking that Loyan wouldn't queue up the same deck again. It's not like a one-sided thing, and there we see that the Fiery War Axe, even the Arathi Weaponsmith is fairly decent against Hunter, so I wouldn't be surprised if he kept it, but he might also try to find like a turn 3 play that's more powerful, like a Ravaging Ghoul or a Frothing Berserker.
Right, and we've been watching the evolution of Hunter deck construction all throughout the tournament. We've been talking about some of the 5 drops we've been seeing. Stranglethorn Tiger kind of making a reemergence. Stranglethorn Tiger's been let out of the arena and back into tournament. You know, we've seen Stampeding Kodo, but I wanted to point out Tundra Rhino. We just saw in Loyan's opening hand. That's a 5 drop that is certainly new to the conversation, but Loyan explained that, you know, it's something he feels confident in. Love to see if it serves him well here. Does manage to get that turn 1 Fiery Bat, so he's going to be able to apply that pressure immediately.
Yeah, the Fiery Bat is a good thing to start with, but what's more like critical is right now that Loyan does not have a turn 2 play, and that's one of the biggest worries as the Hunter player here, because it is so important to curve out well early. If the Warrior manages to get a good grip on the board very early on, the Warrior might be able to end the game once again, like in the previous match. Before the Call of the Wild hits the board. On those turns, if the game goes long enough, once the Call of the Wild does happen, it's so difficult for the Warrior to deal with. It's borderline impossible.
Yeah, we do see that the Thijs has those early stopgap measures. Armorsmith deals fantastically with Fiery Bat. It has 2 of them. Has the Fiery Wind Axe, as you were calling it yesterday, so that's going to help him secure the board early, and could even potentially look to use that Fiery War Axe early to damage himself, get the Battle Rage unlocked. Although, playing against a Hunter, you do assume you're going to be taking damage at some point.
Yeah, I would expect to see the Coin Armorsmith here, but he was thinking about it. Thijs was thinking about it for a long time. Maybe also considering the Fiery War Axe straight away, but the Armorsmith just seems so sweet. The 1-4 stat line against the 2-1, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, unfortunately, Loyan not able to secure that turn 2 play, so Hero Power is actually just the only thing he can do. might be pondering whether or not it's worth it, since he knows that Thijs is running Battle Rages, but Hunter, I think, has to start putting in the damage there.
As a Hunter player, you have to do it. And even if you skip out on that, it's possible that, like... hold on, I'm trying to figure out the sequencing. If the armor smith bumps into the fire, but you gotta go for it, though. Like, you're going face. It's 4 damage.
That's what I like to hear when it comes to Hunters. Just go face. He will have, though, I will say, Loyan's turn 3 is solid, and turn 4 going into the Houndmaster, not super sexy if he does not have a beast to play it on, so does secure at least that Call of Wild, so the late game's starting to shape up for Loyan.
Okay, well, this is interesting. He might actually skip the hero bar
since
he went for that trade. Very interesting, so he is going to go for more control type of thing, and this is not a face hunter, it is, after all, a mid-range hunter, so interesting line of play, and it might work out. Thijs does have that Battle Rage already in his hand, and he would love to use it for multiple cards.
I was going to say, Thijs was kind of, after that play, was kind of sitting back and thinking, you know, what would he do in that situation? And Thijs is that sort of player to where he evaluates the play of his opponents, helps him kind of cross the T's and dot the I's and figure out exactly where his opponent's coming from.
Infested Wolf for Loyan. That is great news. That's exactly the card he wanted to have for next turn. Once again, like in the previous game, he also got it right on time. Houndmaster not so good as just a 4-3 without the efficient use of the battle cry. But Infested Wolf on the other hand, that's just perfect.
Right, we did see, I want to point out, we made the comment that, you know, Thijs was aware Houndmaster was in the hand. Thijs actually spent a bunch of mana and resources to make sure that Infested Wolf and these spiders left behind did disappear, so wouldn't be surprised. Although, we're now kind of at an interesting point for Loyan because Frothing Berserker does come down.
He's considering the Houndmaster just to have a minion that would match up better against the Frothing Berserker, but that would not, we know that wouldn't really work out all that well because of the Fire War Axe.
So what do you think is more middle of the road play here? Is it the Infested Wolf, which it looks like he went with?
I think the Infested Wolf is kind of the obvious play. That one is not going to work so well either because with the Fire War Axe and those 2 minions, Thijs could go for 3 cards by swinging the weapon first, then using the minions to clear out the 1/1s. That's I think that's the perfect answer. Like, there's nothing better that Thijs could have even hoped for. So in the end, Loyan passing the hero power on turn 2, it didn't help him at all.
Wow, so the Frothing Berserker does trade into the Spider, and Thijs continues being extremely consistent in his desire to take beasts off the board, although it does open the Frothing Berserker up to something like Quick Shot. Obviously, the bow charge is not something you're super disappointed if you're Thijs that Loyan uses. Hey, he's taking 7 damage. But Quick Shot will kind of bail Loyan out just a little bit.
Yep. King Select, Quick Shot. It's not a bad turn. With the bow, he can also clear the Armor Smith. So he would have the kind of the advantage on the board, although the Fiery War Axe will be able to finish remove the King Select. With the King Select, it's actually a huge moment, because if he was to pick up something like a Savannah Highmane, that would greatly help him.
Yeah, I think he needs to get to that Savannah Highmane specifically, if possible, because when we talk about this matchup and we say that the Hunter is favored against the Warrior, it's basically because of 2 cards.
Yeah.
Savannah Highmane and Call of the Wild, and he does not have that turn 6 Savannah Highmane. Evaded him in the last game as well.
Oh, wow. He's going for something really aggressive here. Just gonna take that 7 damage and go with Thunder Rhino. I did not expect to see this.
Well, and let's look at that play, because you see basically 4 attack represented between the Fiery War Axe, between the Armor Smith. It's so unrealistic to believe that Tundra Rhino is going to survive. I mean, Temple Warrior deals out 1s of damage in spades. You have Blood to Ichor, you have Ravaging Ghoul. Just so much potential. Just lose that Rhino. You could even see it executed, and then you've spent 5 mana on a minion that's destroyed for 1 mana.
I guess Loyan might be thinking that for his turn 6, he wants to have the King Select with the Houndmaster to kind of have a better curve. But this, unfortunately, this Thunder Rhino right here is not going to work out so well. Thijs with 2 executes. There's no real problem with sparing or using one of those right now. So it's going to get removed very easily. He's not even going to execute. I mean, sure, just use the weapon, use the minion. Why not?
Yeah, take the 2 damage. Your Armor Smith's actually going to survive this, so it doesn't feel too bad at all. And builds a bigger board. And this would be a part where Stampeding Kodo would normally be really solid if Loyan had it. Although, I mean, there's too many minions with 2 or less attack. So
yeah, it would be a little bit of a gamble to go for the Stampeding Kodo if he had it there. Oh, huge story. That was very bad for Loyan. Unfortunately, not finding a Highmane, not winning the Joust. So the king select going to be nothing but a 3-2 for 2.
Oh man, the Battle Rage and the Ravaging Ghoul are what immediately jump out at me.
Yeah, it's certainly a play. He even could use the execute. He was sparing the execute last turn. I wouldn't mind seeing it here because it's just because of the fact that he has multiples. Because he has 2, and he is able to put so much pressure on here. The Taunter is going to go up to 5 attack, and with that slime, there's also another 2 damage. So he could put Loyan as low as 13 HP right here, right now.
Right, I do want to point out that since Loyan on 6 did not play high main, you got to assume he just doesn't have it. So how many more execute targets are you really looking at, considering you're definitely the aggressor in this matchup thus far?
That's a really good trade with that. So Bloodhoof Brave is obviously going to go face, but that trade with the 2-1, it's too good to pass up.
I agree. Loyan really very much back to the wall here. You know, he's playing from behind, and I mean, obviously there's a good late game for the Hunter, but I don't think it's that good to where you feel at all satisfied with the spawn.
There's just nothing going Loyan's way right now. He has that Call of the Wild, so next turn is kind of secured. It's going to be a powerful turn. And if he was to pick up something like a second copy of the Call of the Wild for his turn 9, maybe that would be too much pressure, but we'll see.
Yeah, Malkarok in Tice's hand, and I really like Malkarok here. Trade in potentially, well, roll Malkarok first, see what you get. You can always trade the Bloodhoof Brave into the Misha. You're going to get to keep your Brave. And the odds of you getting Light's Justice, which is, I believe, the only weapon. No, Light's Justice or Poisoned Blade would not allow you to trade with the Toad. But basically everything else allows you to trade. Even Cursed Blade at this point isn't necessarily that bad, considering you're at so much HP.
I talked about Malkarok with Thijs yesterday, and he seemed to value the card very highly. So it was something that he said to me that was like, if you have an opportunity to play Malkarok, you should usually take it. But he's thinking this through, and there are some other plays available to him as well. He's going to go for it. No,
that's a 2-3. I think that's 2-3.
Yeah, Curse Blade is 2-3, so it's going to be that. Where does the thing go?
Yeah.
Oh, it goes on the Malkarok.
Truly nothing is going Loyan's way.
Nope, not at all. And then Stampeding Kodo would have been great earlier, but now it's a little bit too late. Call of the Wild not going to accomplish that much. The Huffer just going to have to trade into the Bloodhoof Brave.
Yeah, this is what makes Tempo Warrior so powerful, is the ability to draw cards. And we've seen Battle Rages go off then, and you know, Thijs basically sacrifices Tempo to draw cards, but he has so many answers, so many options, and Execute is one of those cards which obviously, you know, low mana cost, you just immediately remove a minion, so it all ends up balancing out to where even though Loyan has more minions on the board right now, Thijs is in a very good spot.
Yep. And Thijs has so many options here. Probably wants to be efficient and get that frothing and maybe Bloodhoof Brave, Execute, use the weapon, push for 6. He could also go for Cruel Taskmaster, Execute, clear the Leo. I kind of like just like executing, using the face, execute that, and go for the Bloodhoof Brave to protect that button. That seems to be what he's going for.
I think you're at so much health at this point to where, you know, you don't mind using it as a resource to go ahead and just get rid of the Misha and protect the Malkarok now. Stampeding Kodo will be able to come down on that Bloodhoof Brave. He's going to go ahead and play the Elec first. Just see what he gets.
As good as the Stampeding Kodo is here for the Bloodhoof Brave, it's a little bit too late for him to be able to turn the game around. It should be lethal.
Yeah, that's
Let's see if he finds it. Or is there like straight up lethal? Is there only the Cruel Taskmaster? So that's going to be 3 damage. He's actually 1 off right now with
so just play Finley.
Yeah, so he needs 1 damage from the Sir Finley, and I believe it's not guaranteed, but it's almost guaranteed.
I mean, you could get Fire Blast, you could get Steady Shot, you could get Shapeshift, you could get the Rogue Hero Power, and that's going to do it right there.
But I was trying to think, if there was Paladin Hero Power, like and Priest Hero Power, and Shaman Hero Power, then there would not be that 1 damage available. But like,
yeah, Warrior Hero Power as well, but yeah.
But he already had the Warrior one, so that would not.
Oh yeah, right.
But like I believe that's the only case. And Thijs taking a 2-0 lead over Loyan here.
Yeah, and he did it in a matchup which, you know, we were saying going into it, the Hunter is traditionally the favored player in that because of certain key cards, but missing that 2-drop for Loyan proved to be very bad. By the time he got out the Infested Wolves, The Frothing Berserker was down, and Frothing Berserker is one of those minions that's super volatile, and you have to change the entire way your strategy looks at that point to address it. So
it really is, and not only did Loyan kind of whiff on the early draw because of missing up that turn 2, but Thijs also had a great hand, double Armor Smith, Battle Rage, Fiery War Axe. It was a great start for him, and there was not really any openings for Loyan to come back into that game.
Right, that's what's made that particular warrior deck so popular is the flexibility. You can play it early, you can go late if you need to. Obviously, Thijs' version is not running variant, so a little bit less late game potential, but it still gets there. Thijs now up 2-0 in this series, 2 wins away from going to the grand finals, having his opportunity to be the first player in the history of competitive Hearthstone to win 2 regional championships. Let's take the chance to get to know Thijs just a little bit better.
I have for sure had some really emotional moments in Hearthstone. The biggest one was probably the European Championship last year in Prague. I felt so prepared, and I really felt that I was playing some kind of like a robot. I had everything in my mind, how I had to play, how I had to think things out. There are coming a lot of emotions together, and it's just that I'm inside really happy. Preparation for me is always a big and one of the most important parts. So I really go through the numbers, and I have different spreadsheets. I have different spreadsheets about players. I have different spreadsheets about meta. I have different spreadsheets about what I think is the best to bring.
Thijs is one of those players who will take that to the extreme. He'll always spend the amount of hours necessary, even if it's days or weeks straight.
By keeping pressuring myself, I feel that I can stay on a top level at Hearthstone. Like the support from the community is really amazing. It really gives me a lot of energy to keep going. But also the support from my family is really important. My parents even visiting me sometimes, like at the tournaments when it is a bit closer in Europe. Yeah, keeps me going, keeps me really motivated.
Thijs is the embodiment of the Hearthstone dream. He started off with nothing, nobody knew who he was. He had to earn it and prove himself week in and week out.
I really believe that if you want to achieve something, it will happen. You might need to ask a lot from yourself, but if you really want it, you can also be like becoming like a big Hearthstone player and play here at the European Championship.
Consistency is the name of the game for Thijs. We heard George C. say it as well yesterday, that's the mark of a great player, is always being consistent, coming in and playing good Hearthstone, making sure you're always playing to your outs, playing to around what can possibly beat you. So, you know, he's showing it here, up 2-0 already in this series.
Yeah, I can't really think of a more consistent player in the world than Thijs when it comes to Hearthstone. Over the 2 years or so that he has been playing, he's been just crushing it all the way. And here we go to game 3, and it's going to be Loyan once again queuing up his hunters that he has struggled a little bit with, going up against Thijs' Reno Warlock.
Right, we see Reno in the opening hand of Thijs. So you've never seen this deck. It's very much a slower Warlock. You're life tapping a lot. You have 1-ofs of each card. Yep. Reno Jackson can full heal you back to full health. So might even just be worth keeping Reno Jackson in the opening hand against a hunter. Savitz, you play a lot of these types of decks. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's a snap keep. There's no real decision. You definitely keep it. The Doomsayer also, it's exactly what you want to see. An Imp Gang Pause, not bad. So this starting hand is almost as good as it gets for Thijs. Maybe a Mortal Coil to replace the Sylvanas to deal with the turn 1 Fiery Bat, but that's pretty much it.
Right. The weakness of this deck is obviously the inconsistency of the draws when you're playing 1-off cards, but you know, sometimes you get these opening hands. Oh my goodness, Savitz, stop it!
Wow, he
you are
actually gets
a literal wizard from Finland, just calling cards in the app. And he has a Soulfire.
That's good too. Deals with an animal companion if necessary. It's a little bit risky to use it though because of the Reno Jackson, because you really don't want to discard the Reno.
I feel like when I watch you stream, Savitz, this never happens where you call a card and it just comes to you. So this is really just a caster power.
Yeah, some people say that I'm never lucky.
That's a very common theme amongst Hearthstone players, never being lucky. But
yeah,
that Doomsayer does come out, and Loyan could just deadly shot it.
It feels pretty bad, but I think he has to do it just to like keep something on the board.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I remember listening to Chalky talking about playing against this deck at DreamHack Austin when Terrence was running it. Yep. And Chalky said that when you're the aggressor in this, you basically just go as hard as you possibly can and just hope they don't have Reno on 6. Thijs has it on 5 if he wants it.
That's true. Here, he could coin out the Twilight Drake, but I think that just playing the Imp Gang boss on curve is so powerful that maybe you want to save the coin. But certainly wouldn't blame him for coining out the Drake. Loyan, they're keeping the deadly shot. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty small minion that he would have protected with it. But it's going to be kind of hard for him to be able to both clear Thijs' side of the board and establish his own board afterwards.
Yeah, so many options at this point for Thijs. Kind of an embarrassment of riches when it comes to what he can do. He does have that Reno, as we've talked about, just as an insurance policy whenever he wants to use it.
Yep.
Loyan, on the other hand, those quick shots, kind of a clunky hand. The Deadly Shot would have been a good answer for the Twilight Drake if it had come down, but you're probably not going to use it on the Imp Gang boss.
No. The Imp Gang boss is not what you wanna use. And since he chose to save it, I don't think this is where we're gonna see it either. Imp Gang boss. The reason why Thijs went for this might be that he wants to get value out of it before we get to the Stampeding Kodo turns. Because after Loyan has 5 or more mana, the Stampeding Kodo is such a huge threat to deal with that Imp Gang.
Yeah, Leok comes down off the Animal Companion. This is actually not super conveniently removed. You had pointed out possibly Soulfire, but
no,
followed it up with,
not.
You have Leroy, you have Ragnaros in hand. I doubt you want to use it, so maybe just be something you ignore or kill over 2 turns.
Yeah, you definitely save the Soulfire here. It's weird because he might discard the Reno, which is not obviously the #1 reason why not to do it. But also now that he drew the Mountain Giant, it's very good to have multiple cards in his hand. So you don't want to use the coin, you don't want to spare the Soulfire, you don't want to spare the card that you don't want to use the card that it also discards. So.
Right, so Deadly Shot gets a Drake, so that's a good sign for Loyan.
Yep. Loyan going for a little bit of a gamble there. I feel like he had to. That would not have been worth it if it hit the Imp Gang boss. It would have just been miserable. But as it is, he did get the right hit, so things kind of worked out there.
Right, so we do see that Mortal Coil probably going to come out here, get rid of Leok, and then... actually a Fire Bat, yeah.
Because he's trying to get the juggle from the Fiery Bat to hit the Imp Gang boss for an extra minion. Does not get it this time, so not optimal, but still pretty good.
Could potentially coin out Bran, but it's probably not what you want to use the coin for at this point.
No, the Bran, there's no cards really that would benefit all that much from it right now. So I would imagine it's just going to go for that cheap Mountain Giant next turn.
Right, Stampeding Kodo into the hand, that'll deal with the Imp, and, it does clear the board for Loyan, even if that's not really what you're looking to get rid of with a Stampeding Kodo.
Yeah. But I mean, once again, the options are not that great. He could go for the carry-on crop and maybe, hero power or play the bow.
He goes for the hero power, so obviously he could have done more damage with the Eaglehorn bow, chose not to. Savita, why do you think you make that play over using the Eaglehorn bow?
I think that he might be trying to, at this point, try to plan out for some kind of massive damage thing to kind of kill off Thijs from a high health total, maybe. So he wants to spare the bow and not risk something like an acidic Swamp Boost in a spot like this.
Seems reasonable to me. It's also probably worth threading in that hero power as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to get the value.
Because the bow is limited amount of damage, and the hero power is only limited by time.
Let's see what gets dropped here. Okay, Siphon Soul.
That was a kind of big moment there, because the Reno could have been discarded, but that's the only thing that Thijs really cared about, and the odds were in his favor. It was only 1 out of 8 to burn that one. So.
Right, it was important, I think, to get that grub off the board, though. When you're playing the Mountain Giant, you don't want to see it just get kill commanded to death. And now it's super difficult to remove. Obviously, Loyan could have played down something like Huge Toad and used kill command and then possibly quick shot, but it represents such a mana investment that Loyan wouldn't have been able to do it on this turn. Well, no, he could have actually done that, but still would have eaten his entire turn. Instead, Loyan equips the bow, plays down the Huge Toad, and that's going to be his entire turn.
Yep. I think we're going to see the coin Reno Jackson right here. So good to the life up. There might have been some optional lines of play where you just Senjin and maybe like Friend Bronzebeard or Senjin. And I'm probably not tap with that, but kind of trying to get more value out of the Reno. But Thijs not wanting to take any chances. He knows that he's well in command of this game. He has much more cards than his opponent does. He has very powerful plays on the following turn. So Reno, very safe play, very solid.
Right, and great sequencing by Theis there to go ahead and get rid of the huge toad, see where that 1 damage went before he used Reno, so gets the maximum value out of it. Ooh, the tempo Kodo does not feel good.
When that happens against an 8-5 and a 4-6, you gotta know that you're losing. When that is the best play you can make at 8.
I was going to say, Loyan probably has other hints in this game that he's not doing super well, but that one definitely speaks to just the desperation of the situation in this match. And Loyan understands if he loses this, he's down 3-0.
Yeah, this is getting... I mean, the odds are that he is going to lose this one. We can't know for sure just yet, but it's certainly not going his way. Finally finding a high main, but it might be a little bit too late.
Yeah, he can get rid of some of the damage off the board with the Unleash the Hounds. He could look at trading into the Mountain Giant, at least clear that.
Yep.
And just go face otherwise, but Savannah High Main a few turns late. That's normally a minion, though, that is really solid against handlock variants.
Oh, my goodness.
Double rag. Do you double rag here?
Probably. He can even go for the silence afterwards. So, like, just faceless the rag, play the Spellbreaker on the high main, clear off the 1-1. He could also go just face with that, but you don't want the rag hits to go on the 1-1. So I would imagine that he's going to
Your magic shall not
clear it off. Yeah.
All right, see what happens here. Yep, high main down, and this is a really desperate spot, and we can actually see Loyan went ahead and conceded this one, so he is now down 3-0, has been unable to get a win on this Hunter deck, and you know, you talked about it. It's a deck that relies on curving out in the early game so it can get to the late game phases, and when it doesn't, it really falls behind quickly.
Yeah, this is good news for Theis fans. After the first one, it was kind of like, from Loyan's point of view, it's not that bad yet. After the second one, it was kind of like, okay, it's getting a little bit bad, and now things are really bad. But he's not out of it. We have seen it reverse sweeps before. Best of 7 is kind of a new format, so 3 games in a row is not going to be enough. He needs to take all 4. But maybe he's going to find a weak spot in that Hunter list of Theises, and some of those matchups are not that bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, you get to a point when you're down 3-0 or you're down 2-0 in Conquest where you're like, I at least have like one good matchup, but going into the Hunter Mirror, it's not something where you feel like specifically good. You know, the differences in the decks are there. We see Loyan just kind of smirking and shaking his head, but while the differences are there, I don't think that the differences between these two decks give Loyan any kind of real advantage.
Not really. It's probably just a disadvantage, because one of the biggest differences was that Theis is not running any high mains. Instead, he's playing the Tigers for 5 mana. So those might be a little bit faster in a matchup where it's usually a race.
Loyan's still very animated, even in this situation. I do like seeing that from him. Not surprised to see it. Meanwhile, Theis' opening hand misses out on the 2-drop, but otherwise pretty solid. We know he does run that 1 copy of Injured Cavalier, so the Camel Hunter coming down could be very big.
And if Loyan was to draw his second Fiery Bat, he wouldn't even get anything from Theis' Camel. But doesn't have it just yet, so this is probably going to be kind of like a straight-up Fiery Bat pass. Yep.
Yeah, I could have coined out the Alec, but you're definitely not going to do that when your opponent has Fiery Bat down. So now Theis is the one without a turn 2 play. Huge Toad just nowhere to be found.
Just gonna trade, go for the hero power. Kind of a miserable turn. Loyan is going to be so happy when he sees this. Yeah, I can see it on his face. Because now he knows that he has the advantage on the board.
Loyan's like the beginning of the comeback.
Yeah.
Only 4 games to go, and it starts here with Theis missing a 2-drop.
In a tempo-based matchup that is so huge when nothing comes out on turn 2. It happened to Loyan in one of his previous games in this series. But it's not happening here. He actually has multiple choices. He could go for the Frog or the Elec here.
Yeah, goes for the Toad here. Now, why do you go for that over the Elec? Actually, you know what? I guess it'd just be for board control because you do get that extra 1 damage off the Toad, so makes sense. Now, Theis can just play down the Camel. Will get either the Cavalier or the second Fiery Bat. Is there any reason you would just want to play the... I mean, the Grub does just contest the Toad.
It does, but it's so bad against the Going Houndmaster. The Desert Camel, it's also not that great against the Going Houndmaster, but it might be a tiny bit better. He also saw 1 Fiery Bat, so he might be hoping that there would not be... that the second one would be in Loyan's hand. Ooh, Carrion Grub gets played, and Loyan immediately going for the Going Houndmaster. By the way, I have to point it out that the second Fiery Bat was drawn right now by Thijs. So once Thijs, by Loyan. So once Thijs chooses to play his Desert Camel, there will not be any more one-chops.
Well, I think it would have to be on this turn. I don't think you want to play down the Houndmaster. But Thijs, you know, kind of wondering what's behind door number 1.
This is actually so annoying if you're Loyan when you see the camel.
Well, Thijs gets the fiery bat, so it's not as bad as it could be.
It's true. There was that quality too. Oh, that's a good one. With the Flame Juggler, he has an easy way to remove the fiery bat from the board, potentially. I mean, it's unreliable, but
just
it
an
could
easy
happen.
33% chance to just remove the bat.
He could first kill that camel. He could also use the huge toad to get that death rattle to have an extra chance to remove it.
Sure, no, completely agree there. See who comes out of the joust, and he wins the joust, gets the high main.
Yeah.
As bad as things were looking for Loyan in that last match, he certainly pulling it together here. We're gonna see the trim trade the. Nope.
And he hits that too. So finally, after 3 games, things are going Loyan's way. He's far ahead in this matchup, and Thijs does not play any Unleash the Hound, so making a comeback from here on out, it's going to take a little bit more than just a Stranglethorn.
Right, no Explosive Trap, no Unleash the Hound, so that is going to be problematic for Thijs. But no, Stranglethorn Tiger is okay. It's one of those things where it can trade. Obviously, it's not just going to be killed. But Loyan, meanwhile, just piecing together a bunch of damage.
And another Fiery Bat. Sure, why not?
I mean, you know, no Unleash the Hounds. You're not going to get punished for it at all, so...
No Explosive Trap either.
Yep, just time to start punch people in the face. This is what you like to see when you watch 2 hunters fight, just going at each other.
Yeah.
These are not long games, these hunter matches.
Nope.
Ty's going to go ahead and concede it. Loyan is on the board, avoids the sweep. Still could get the gentleman sweep against him, the old 4-1. But for now, he does have something on the board here, and still looks just as bemused as ever.
Yeah, it took a while for that Hunter deck, but he finally got it, and now there could be that comeback in the making, although it's definitely going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, we'll see. Thijs, again, just has to get 1 win with that Hunter deck. Loyan still needs to get 3 more wins in this best of 7. TJ, in the meantime, is standing by to talk to AKA Wonder about this match.
Thanks, Rob. I'm standing by with AKA Wonder, and we're going to talk a little bit about the matchup that's going on right now. Loyan's in pretty much a tough spot at the moment. Talk to me about what he's going to have to do and what he's going to have to overcome to come back and win this match.
Yeah, he has like 3 matchups where he's not that favorite, but he can do it. You know, like you need to draw really well when you are like warrior against hunter, like control warrior. But you know, some fire axe into 3-drop, 4-drop, he can do it.
Yeah, he's going to go up against mid-range hunter against like combo Reno lock, mid-range hunter. Well, he just took the win with mid-range hunter. So what's going to be his last deck?
I think it's Reno lock, Enzot warrior, and
Control warrior.
Yeah, control warrior, and I don't know the third one.
Yeah, but what he's going to have to do is go up against Thijs's mid-range hunter, which is going to be a really tough thing to do over and over and over again. But we're going to jump back into the match as these players are ready to go. So we'll see if Loyan can overcome or if Thijs is going to take it and move on to the finals.
All right. Thank you, TJ and AKA Wonder. Completely agree. Going against mid-range hunter 3 times in a row and hoping to get the win. You know, at some point, mid-range hunter is going to piece together that win.
Yeah, that third deck that wasn't mentioned there is actually a Nozot Paladin. And it's not that easy to stop the hunter necessarily, but there are, like, Nozot Paladin is one of those decks that when you just draw those Doomsayers and the Equality Consecration, it can be hard for the hunter to kind of like get back, I suppose, after those board clears. Also, the healing is there. Loyan is playing 2 copies of Forbidden Healing, so in some other matchups, the hunter hero power is almost like a clock, whereas if there's enough time, eventually it's going to get you. But those Forbidden Healings kind of negate it pretty well.
Yeah, we do see the 1 Doomsayer sitting in Loyan's hand, and that'll allow him to deal with the board early on. When you're playing Control Paladin, N'Zoth Paladin, whichever specific version you're playing, you know, we talked yesterday about the fact that Equality Consecration, Equality Pyromancer are such valuable tools that if you're forced to use them early, and maybe not to deal with something like Call of the Wild, for example, you can find yourself in a bad spot. So Doomsayer does help you secure that board early on. Same with Humility.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded it if he chose to keep the Acidic Swamp Boost too, because he knows that Thijs is playing 2 copies of Eaglehorn Bow. But it's also, on the other hand, it's not that great. It's a little bit reactive, and finding maybe some proactive plays to go on his turn 3 might be more valuable.
Right, speaking of proactive, Thijs is just going to get right to it. Coins out that Elec to see who wins this joust. Ooh, Sylvanas is stronger than a huge toad.
Yes,
it is
confirmed.
Confirmed now by the game. Doomsayer coming out, though. Thijs can't actually deal with it.
No, this is going to be a terrible turn for Thijs. All he can do is the hero power. There's no way to remove that Doomsayer right now. He had those 2 drops in his hand that he really wanted to play, but nope, not gonna happen. And Loyan takes the early lead, I would say.
Yeah, Thijs does have the ability to play down that Desert Camel. Now, if he gets Cavaldier, I do think this suddenly becomes a very one-sided game.
Yeah, there goes that lead, but it's a big moment there. Like whether he gets the Fiery Bat or the Camel or the Fiery Bat, because if there's a Fiery Bat, then the 1/1 is going to be able to trade for it. But if it's going to be the 1 copy of the injured Cavaldier, that would have stick around for potentially a long time.
Yeah, that 1/1 is going to be able to do some work here. Get rid of the Fiery Bat. Injured Cavaldier still in the deck somewhere. Yep. I do believe there's a second copy of Desert Camel in deck for Thijs.
I think so, yeah.
So he's going to hope to run into that before he runs into Cavaldier, because obviously if you play it just as a 1-drop, it's a very suboptimal card.
Yeah, Loyan here with some options. He could just go for like a Wild Pyro and Hero Power if he really feels like he has to do something. He doesn't have an equality. If he had an equality, it would be like the most obvious thing ever to hold on to the Wild Pyro for that combo later. Spellbreaker, it's a little bit weird because there could be that Houndmaster coming from Thijs next turn. But on the other hand, like Loyan doesn't need to keep the Spellbreaker for high main, which is normally the primary target for the silence effect against the
Right, so he has to figure out what he wants to play around. I think Wild Pyromancer and then a token is the most middle-of-the-road play. It's very neutral. Doesn't really get super punished by anything in specific. Spellbreaker definitely can be punished by Houndmaster, can be punished by Quick Shot, and I think that's what we're going to see happen here.
No Houndmaster, though, so it's going to work out decently, I would say. It was certainly more powerful than just a hero power would have been.
Agreed, as you pointed out, Wild Pyromancer is a very important tool, so one tool that is maybe not as important certainly justifies being used earlier, since you know there's no high main.
Yeah, really, obviously the silence effects is getting wasted here. There was no ability on the Desert Camel anymore. The Battle Cry was used. Thijs, with a Quick Shot, he could play that and a King Select to get even further ahead on the board. But I still completely agree with that Spellbreaker for Tempo in this situation.
So he's going to play down the Toad. He's going to Quick Shot here. I love the focus from Thijs. We don't see him getting overly antsy or emotional, even knowing he's 1 win away from the grand finals. And, as we've been saying all weekend, that's just textbook Thijs in terms of what he does.
Certainly is. He could have opted to go for the King Select there instead of the Frog to try to maybe find a Stranglethorn Tiger for his turn 5, but his turn 5 is looking all right already with the Animal Companion, Flame Juggler also, so maybe it's not that important.
Right, so Alder Peacekeeper, pretty solid draw overall, allows him to reduce the force on the board. As always, doesn't want to be forced into a situation where he has to mismanage his board clears.
Yep. And here, Flame Juggler seems pretty good. The Animal Companion is also playable. It plays a little bit into something like a equality board clear if he is to play multiple minions, so he might just kill off maybe the 1/1 and not play the Flame Juggler. He is going to play it though. Let's see if he can land the juggle. Oh, does not get it.
Yeah, no, it does not get that juggle there. Going to basically test Loyan here, because this is one of those things where Loyan has to react to this board. He's at 19 health. This board has gotten to a point where it's no longer just Humility or Alder Peacekeeper and ignore it. So we're going to see what Loyan chooses to do here. Wild Pyromancer Consecration would remove a lot from the board.
Only the small minions, though. I don't think it would accomplish enough, and the huge Toad could potentially get a revenge kill on the Wild Pyro as well.
Right, so
it's not that good.
You would be able to at least take out 3 of the minions, though, with the trade with Peacekeeper.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't think I mind that, actually.
I mean, it's not that bad. Just hope for the best when it comes to the huge Toad death rattle.
Right. Dealing with the board though here, I think you're definitely way ahead in terms of cards. Your opponent's sitting on 3. You know he doesn't have the high main on 6 because it's not in this deck.
Yep.
So see what he chooses to do here. It looks like just the consecration's coming out.
I think I might still play one of the wildfires. There's not much value in holding on to the wildfire. Oh, he is going to just Finals. Maybe he is going to play those at the same time. I'm trying to figure this out. Or he's just saving one for the forbidden healing maybe, and the second one for the equality combo. I guess that's almost as good as the wildfire would be when it comes to the size of the minion.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. He is running high main in this deck. I apologize.
Wow.
I've been looking at someone else's list,
Yeah,
so...
a little bit of confusion there. There has been a lot of Hunter lists in this tournament. But Thijs, in fact, is running this. It was somebody else who had replaced them.
You know what? I think it was Crane. Crane was running double Kodo and double Stranglethorn.
Yep.
So, wow, yeah, high main being in this is very much a game changer then.
It is. There is a humility in Loyan's hand, but it's certainly going to affect their decision making.
Right, and we'll see. Thijs could follow it up with the carry-on grab, just put more on the board.
Yep.
You see him talking to himself as he tries to piece together what exactly he wants to do. If he plays the carry-on grab, cannot add in that hero power.
That's probably what he's thinking right now. I think it's... I would expect to see the Camel pull off the 1-1 just to prevent the trade with the 2-1. But do you hero power? Do you carry-on grab? It's a tough call.
I think I like the hero power better overall.
Yeah, I think I like it a little bit better as well. The carrion grab, based on the hands, would have maybe been better because there is no real clear coming up. So it would have gotten some job done just being on the board. But it's not too bad also to try to maximize that hero power, get that damage in, put your opponent in a tough spot at a low HP early on.
Right, it's important to be cognizant of just how much, what possible sequencing of board clears you could be looking at. Wild Pyromancer and Forbidden Healing to me feels pretty reasonable. You could even go with Humility.
Yep.
I only mention the Forbidden Healing if you're really concerned about your HP at this point. If maybe you think that some combination is coming down that puts you really low, but...
Yeah, he's going to go for Forbidden Healing because the Humility wouldn't really do that much. The Elephant would still be able to trade with the Wildfire at one attack. Oh, Hymen from the top. Luckily for Loyan, he does have those Humilities ready and waiting.
Yeah, so keeping those Humilities will allow him to very easily deal with the high main. This is another reason I think I like the... Well, I mean, I don't think anyone was planning for there to be an overabundance of Paladin. I think this deck in specific has underperformed in most tournament settings.
Oh, wow.
Recently.
Sylvanas Windrunner, that is a great draw to counter that high main.
Yeah, the problem there is that you leave that high main on the board for a turn.
But you can humility it, so it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I was thinking if you steal it, that you're not going to humility it. But yeah, I guess you would. Yeah.
Yeah, just to save some HP, and he has the second humility in his hand. He also has the Nuzot. I like the humility a lot in this spot, because why not?
Yeah, it's definitely more cautious, and as a Paladin player, that's what you're playing towards anyway. It's just a more cautious strategy.
Yeah, because what Thijs could have done, if there was no humility, Thijs could have just traded in the high main for the Sylvanas. One of the hyenas would have been stolen, but it would have kind of been like a break-even trade in that sense. So now Loyan is almost guaranteed to get a tiny bit more value than just that.
Right. See that Fiery Bat coming down, and then it looks like Carrion Grub's going to follow up. And I think at this point, Thijs has to just kind of shift focus to just going all in.
I agree. He should try to end the game as fast as possible. It's not looking so good for him as it is.
Yeah. Swampu's in the hand. At this point, I mean, Loyan is also down on cards. He doesn't have too many. And I feel like so often when I see this deck work, or rather played, N'Zoth just sits in the hand. Yeah. I mean, there are cool potential plays, obviously, where you do it. You bring back Sylvanas, you bring back Tyrion Fordring, possibly Karen Bloodhook as well. But it's definitely... When it loses, it's that card that's sitting in hand.
Yeah, it's like that card that always, when you lose, you have it in your hand. But when you get to play it, you win every time. So it's kind of like a give or take. It's pretty hard to evaluate it being a bad card just because you often don't get to play it because of how powerful it is when you do.
Right, now he doesn't have any healing in hand, so Hunter can certainly lay on the damage. But that said, Thijs' hand has the 1 kill command and then the deadly shot, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to use.
Oh, he's really going all in here. Knows that the Nozot is going to be his turn 10. Most likely, not certainly, but most likely. So playing all of that stuff right here. But also with that, well, the Wild Battery is going to get traded for, but there could have maybe been some potential for a steal if it stayed on the board by like killing off his own Sylvanas using that spell.
Yeah, I think Thijs is considering whether or not to slow it down again, and it looks like that's what he's doing with these trades. You know, see there's only 2 cards left. Can't really play the freezing trap with the 1/1 on the board.
No. And oh, and I was just about to say that Loyan doesn't have any too strong plays here because the Nozot wouldn't bring anything back. I believe there's no death rattles being played and killed from Loyan before this. So Justicar, pretty good getting those extra 1/1s on the board.
Oh my goodness, suddenly the damage is starting to pile up. We do see 13 damage, so he's 4 off of lethal. Yeah, has no healing in hand.
I think in this spot, just go for it. Play both the kill commands on the face. Hope to top deck a quick shot.
Yeah,
Hope to have 2 turns maybe. Because like there's a chance that he would even have 2 turns afterwards. So like getting those 2 hero powers in.
Right. I mean, what's your win condition otherwise?
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
this is really starting to go against you on the board.
Like how good is the kill command on the optional play is to use a kill command on the Justicar and try to like kind of survive. But I think in this spot with these cards, you just gotta go for it.
Right. Looks like he does actually play the freezing trap. Just reduces the damage. Maybe Loyan didn't do his homework. Maybe he thinks it's explosive trap.
Stampeding Kodo. That is not going to help.
Wow, so Thijs could just pull this out with the quick shot.
He could, yeah.
And actually, let's look at how much damage is on the board here. So we see 8, 9, 10, 15 damage. Okay, over 2 turns.
Yep.
He does have enough. So this will be Thijs' last turn coming up.
Yep, he needs to find a bow or a quick shot. He's playing 2 copies of bow and 2 copies of quick shot.
Yeah, he's used 1 copy of quick shot, I believe.
Yeah.
Both kill commands, has used neither bow. So Thijs could just pull this out, but if he doesn't, then that is going to spell the end of this particular game.
Tempo Nozot. Oh, man.
Houndmaster does it!
That is going to do it.
Oh my gosh, Thijs is going to take this one. Really close game. And he is going to complete the gentleman's sweep on Loyan 4-1. And he is going to be advancing to the grand finals to play either Casey or Inner.
Yeah, huge congratulations to Thijs. Well played series. Loyan, good effort, but not enough this time.
Yeah, no, Thijs navigated, and we talked about all weekend just how technical his play was and how good he was at like finding his outs and figuring out exactly what he needed to win. Realized Houndmaster, bow, or quick shot did it and just put himself in that position to win it. So,
well, there wasn't really. I don't think there was a good opportunity for Loyan to try to kill off the high main just to play around the Houndmaster either. He would have had to spare so much damage on it to do that it would have probably not been worth it because he had to set up the lethal.
All right, well, we have Sottle standing by to interview Thijs. Let's hear what he had to say after winning that match.
Yeah, I'm standing by with Thijs. Thijs, congratulations. Another very impressive performance. You are now just 1 game away from becoming a repeat European champion. What would that achievement mean to you? What kind of statement would that make?
It will mean a lot. Of course, I have been performing pretty well overall in a lot of tournaments already, but like keeping your name up and being the first person that can win a regional twice will mean a lot for me.
Now, that series started off fairly straightforward for you. You went out to a 3-0 lead. What do you think that came down to? Do you think you had got the right matchups? Were you kind of fortunate with some of your opening hands? You had some very powerful openings in those games. Like, what do you think the real breaking point was?
I think the biggest breaking point when was I get my warrior that I get out against this hunter. It was for me in the matchup I really wanted with the warrior, and when I get it and I had a nice starting end, I was really happy that my warrior was out. And when I was 2-0, I felt already really comfortable that with the 2 best decks I had left, that I will take the series.
Yeah, I think when you were down to just having your mid-range hunter to win with against the lineup that you had, you must have felt like this is almost job done at this point, right?
Yeah, the mirror match was a bit in favorite for me. He runs double unleash, so he has some comeback. I run Camel, what also gives him a minion. So I knew the mirror would be hard, but the other 3 decks, the control decks that he had left, should be good for me.
All right, well, go ahead. Congrats. Go ahead and rest up for the grand finals. Thijs is waiting in grand finals for the winner of this next matchup that you are about to see. It is the 2nd semi-final.